This box can change your marriage and your sex life forever.
So many couples struggle to have a fun and thriving sex life because they get hung up on sex as a transaction. I mean, you have a million things demanding your attention every day, and eventually you have very little energy for anything but what's on the family calendar. And let's face it, spicy time just doesn't always make the cut. And if it does, it's a checklist item just to make sure you're, quote, doing the right thing.
Yeah. And intentional intimacy within your marriage needs to be prioritized again. But where do we even start?
Introducing Sensations. Sensations. What is Sensations?
Sensations is a bedroom game for couples based on the 5 senses.
And we got this idea from a type of intervention that's used in counseling to help couples overcome sexual challenges.
Yeah.
And it's called Sensate Focus. The main sense that Sensate Focus is based on is the sense of touch, but it really incorporates all 5 senses, and it helps couples move away from sex as a transaction.
Right. And that's where a lot of couples get stuck. So like when we're wanting to create something that's a little bit more guidance for couples that we knew could maybe help them into that safe place and help them to re-experience touch, we came up with this idea of using your God-given 5 senses and helping you, curate just a little bit more fun and intimacy and take some of the decision fatigue off you.
In our experience as couples counselors over the last decade, we've noticed that a lot of couples have difficulty not just having sex, but pursuing each other outside of the bedroom. And that in turn just causes a lot of frustration and trouble in the bedroom. And these are well-meaning couples.
Yeah.
So why are they having this frustration?
I think we can narrow it down, and all of you probably would agree. They're busy, so they're stressed out. And there's maybe a lack of communication around it. So they don't know how to talk about it. They don't know how to talk about what they want. And maybe they don't have the direction they need to go deeper.
Yes, and that's exactly what we found when we were talking about creating this deck. So for those of you who don't know, rewind back to 2018 when we came up with, or was it 2019?
I don't know.
I think 19
like
maybe. So 5 years ago, we noticed couples were having problems talking about sex. It was hard to even discuss it, even though they might have it as a checklist item.
Yep.
How do we discuss our sexual expectations? So we came up with Sexpectations, and that's a deck for helping couples talk about their expectations in and out of the bedroom having to do with sex and intimacy.
Yeah.
But that wasn't enough.
Right. Well, because, expectations assume that you already have a preset idea of how it should go. So a lot of couples were coming back and saying, well, okay, how do we then adventure and have fun and enjoy, God's beautiful gift of marriage and sex? And so it was very difficult for us to give them resources. Like a safe resource, for example, for a long time was the Adventure Challenge. And we just recently got on their website and they were pandering to LGBTQ people. And we're like, okay, so is this going to start changing their content? And is this safe for Christians to engage in? Yep. So really one thing after another was really marked off our list of how do we safely help them pursue something with adventure.
Yes. And there's so many games out there, and we have a lot of those games, but we've taken Sharpie markers and we've thrown cards or items out of the games because there's so much junk out there. So we didn't feel comfortable recommending anything in particular to our couples. So for over a decade, we've been helping people with their sex life, but without giving them a specific resource other than the Song of Solomon, which is a fantastic resource.
By the way, this is Song of Solomon approved.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Solomon would approve of Sensations.
Well, and okay, so back up too. This is why maybe you've noticed a little bit more content around sex, because we knew that this was going to be a little bit more of a stretch for people seeing a card game around sex.
Yeah. And getting pretty specific. I mean, we're tasteful and classy, but it does get specific and wild and adventurous. And it might feel a little over the top for people to just see this card deck appear out of nowhere without us laying the foundation over the last few weeks. So yeah, you've probably noticed a lot about sex on our podcast over the last few weeks.
Right. And we love sex. We love other topics too, but preparing the way for this was important for us because people have to understand that this is God's good gift to us.
Yeah.
And completely embrace that and how necessary it is for marriage. I mean, the stats are so clear that sexless marriages or marriages that have less than desirable sex really does impact the marriage in general.
Totally.
So, and after working with thousands of couples over the last decade, we could totally back that up. We could see people struggling and in turn, their marriages struggle. So that's why we really sat down and did our best to create something that's not just a, raunchy, go do this, but like something that we know clinically will boost intimacy and teach you how to experience touch and your wife or your husband in a new way.
Yeah, not just touch. We have all 5 senses
There we go.
covered. Touch is one of the senses, and they're color coded, which is so fun. So for those who are watching this video, you can see there's like a whole set of cards that are just based on touch. We can give you a few of them as a sneak peek.
Here we go.
This one's called Ice and Steam. Bring a tray or cup of ice to the shower and let your spouse experience the pleasure of extremes as you rub cold ice over their skin and warm them back up with your steamy body and mouth.
Some people are like, oh no, ice in the shower? Nuh-uh.
It's fun. We promise.
Don't knock it until you try it.
Exactly. So yes, we wanted to give you just a little preview. We won't go into all 5 senses. That one's touch, but like the smell cards are pink. Let's see. The hear cards are this aqua color. By the way, it's so great seeing all the reviews. People are like, oh my word, it's such a fun design. The word fun is in almost like
color.
Every review.
Yeah. Shout out to our designer.
Yes. But this really helps eliminate the decision fatigue for busy couples because again, another thing we found is because we couldn't recommend a specific resource to these couples over the last 10 years because of the safety component, we were giving them direction and counseling. And we were big on focusing on the 5 senses. For those that know me personally, I often create like a 5 senses toolkit for bridal shower gifts. And 5 senses is something we would educate our couples on. We would talk to them about the need to focus on the 5 senses in and out of the bedroom to have a more present experience. But that didn't take care of the decision fatigue because they were still stuck on like, how do I focus more on the 5 senses? What do I do now that I'm in the moment to really engage my sense of smell or my sense of taste, touch, hear, sound? So like we noticed we have to do something, create a resource that's not only safe, but eliminates the decision fatigue.
Right. And it does because what you do, and okay, we're talking about the deck. So what's cool about this is you guys can set a challenge for yourself of how many senses you could do in a night. You could do 2 touch cards.
Sure.
And 1, hear card. You could, so the combinations are honestly endless. There's thousands.
Yeah.
I haven't done the math, but there's thousands of different combinations you could do. And you probably haven't tried to do them together. So that's what makes it a game. And that's what makes it so unique in all of the other games that are out there of like, hey, do this. It's more of like, you're exploring how God created your body to interact with reality.
Yeah.
And a lot of people actually shut down their senses. So many couples come to us and we notice, they don't know this, but we notice that they're very much focused on like a pathway, like, kind of, for lack of a better word, objectifying the experience and sex to them is intercourse. So what this does is it helps them pull back and say, look, this isn't the end all be all. Sex begins, as people say, in the kitchen. Sex begins outside of the bedroom and then flows into the bedroom. And so this is a kind of a deck. You could call it a training deck, whatever you want to call it. But it's a deck to really open up the senses to people to experience delight and pleasure in a way that God created you to do without being so either past focused or future focused. Pleasure is actually centered in the moment, not past or future.
And that's really what sets this deck apart from any other deck out there. Any other sex game, not just the safety component, that it's classy and tasteful, but the fact that it focuses on the five senses, that is unique. There's nothing else out there like that.
Yeah.
And so that's been fun to see how that's been received by the beta testers. This has been beta tested by dozens of couples all over the world. And that was a unique feature that they loved.
Yeah, we didn't want to put anything offensive or it didn't work or, hey, that's not very cool or fun.
Yeah.
And so far, we have had very good feedback.
Yes. And they even helped us with more ideas. We left some of our beta cards blank so that they could add more ideas. And we incorporated several of their ideas into the deck. So thank you. Shout out to our beta testers.
Yes, you guys are awesome.
You guys are awesome. So let's talk about how you play the game. I know you can get an idea of it by what we've been talking about, but there's actually 3 ways to play the game. And there's this nifty card in there that shows you the 3 ways to play. So what are the 3 ways to play the game?
So number 1, plan ahead. One person creates the sexperience by choosing one card from each of the 5 senses or just a few and surprising their spouse. So this would be someone digging into the deck and saying, okay, this is going to be fun. This is what I choose.
Yes. And an optional component to number 1 is that you can plan ahead and order some of the suggested items. So we have a QR code in one of the cards with a bunch of suggested items if you just want to spice it up by having a novel item in the bedroom.
With safety in mind.
Yes, exactly. So that's way number 1. Now, if you didn't plan ahead, that's totally fine. What's way number 2?
Double blind. So what you could do is you could just mystery draw some and see if that fits your mood for that night. And you could choose together.
Yeah, it's so fun. You guys can blindly call the combo for that night. All of the cards that have a suggested purchase on them for the plan ahead way of playing also have an alternative option of something that you probably have at home. And you can do the activity on the card one at a time, or you can draw all 5 cards at the beginning and put them in your desired order.
Okay, and then the last little kind of tidbit feature of the deck is that on the back of a lot of these cards, let me find some for those that are watching.
And this is way number 3.
Way number 3, you see that little
rapid fire
symbol. And because we know that, a lot of you are busy couples with kids and maybe you have a little bit later night, but you still want to be intimate that night and you want to have fun or be a little bit novel. So, we understand starting at 9:30 could be daunting if you're trying this crazy sex experience, right? So rapid fire gives you some suggestions of things that could go faster.
Yes. And you can guarantee that there will be no prep required, nothing to order, and it'll be a lot faster for those rapid fire. And I didn't count them, but I would say at least a third of the deck is marked by rapid fire symbols.
Yeah, totally. So you could look at the backs and pull out the rapid fire and make that happen. So
there is also one more feature that is exciting, and that is the bonus card section. So we have a whole section of about 10 cards at the end of the deck, and they don't fall into the 5 senses, but they are just fun challenges. So we give you ideas for spicy texts to send to your spouse. We give you ideas for like building and creating a space like a fort, or going and having sex somewhere novel.
So I would say almost just kind of looking at it right now, it's more of a mind, right?
Yeah,
it's the
mindset.
What, the sixth sense?
Sure.
It's the mind of playing with really like novelty within the mind. So
these are like games within the game.
Yeah, they are. They're going to be, it's a lot of fun. We spent some time on this thing.
Yes.
It's a beautiful card deck. We can't wait for you to get yours. And
today is the day.
Yes.
Today's launch day. If you are watching this or listening to this on August 13th, today is the day that you can order your card deck on Amazon and get it by tomorrow.
Yes. So we want you to have fun. And we pray that this is going to be a blessing to you and your spouse.
So go grab your Sensations card
Surprise
deck.
them.
You can grab, if you want to get one as a bridal shower gift or an anniversary gift, a game. That couple will thank you too. And we cannot wait to hear your feedback. So once you play, tell us how it goes. Don't tell us all the spicy details, but tell us how your experience was and any impact this made on your marriage and sex life.
Yeah. And also would love to open that up to questions, because oftentimes stuff comes up, questions regarding what you're doing or how you're feeling, or, stuff in that sense. We'd love to hear your questions and do further podcasts and videos addressing those.
And we will for sure be doing a further Q&As on even the theology around this, because a lot of questions come up when we get specific like that, of like, what's okay in the bedroom?
Yeah.
So we'll have some further material to help you with just a biblical understanding of sexuality and marriage. What did God intend for your sex life?
Yep. So go to Amazon, search Sensations, and enjoy.